The world around us is more divided than ever. With Brexit in the UK and the constant discussion surrounding Donald Trump's presidency in the USA, political topics have been ever present in the news agenda. It's why it's more important than ever for the younger generation to be politically astute and media literate. Matteo Bergamini sought to help with this in 2015 when he set up Shout Out UK. This was to help teach young people about political and media literacy. He found education about politics was severely lacking.
Problem is, of course, is that there is no government politics GCSE, there is no curriculum around political or media literacy, and no one tells you should register to vote at 16 when you can. No one tells you how first past the post works or any of the kind of bare bone basics that essentially, I think, are a requirement for a democracy to function properly for the citizens to know.
Being literate in politics and media requires a wide range of knowledge.
To define the two, so political literacy is around the basic understanding of how a democracy functions. So think of it almost as being literate in a language. Doesn't mean that you're going to suddenly be able to write amazing Shakespearean prose, but it means you can start using said language. So reading it, writing it, communicating with it, etc. And politics should be the same. So understanding how laws are created, understanding how your tax affects you, understanding what your local government should be or is doing for you, understanding how MPs are getting elected, what are you doing every general election, what is first past the post. These kind of bare bone basics should be in school and education. Media literacy is how to critically analyze the information we receive online. So understanding the difference between misinformation, disinformation, malinformation, and being able to critically analyze things we receive, as well as doing basic fact checking.
Shout Out has run programs in over 1,000 schools and colleges across the UK. It's something Matteo believes his students really engage with.
The thing is that it doesn't take much to engage young people, because the young people are primarily already engaged. They're angry, but engaged. Like if you look at climate change, mental health, BLM, whatever issue you want to pick, like young people are at the forefront. Young people care about issues. They just don't like or trust politicians. And that's not our job to change. Our job to change is to help them understand how the system works so that they can enact whatever change they want to enact, but rather than just doing the protests as well as voting and influencing policy.
The group's work has also yielded success in the British political system, as earlier this week they set up an all-party parliamentary group on political literacy. Understandably, it was a huge achievement for Matteo.
I mean, we've made a case for political and media literacy to the point now where it's being widely talked about. Schools are a hell of a lot more accepting, and we've got enough parliamentary support to set up an APPG. About a year ago or 2 years ago, when we first started, that was just not an option. Like there was no political will whatsoever. So we've definitely created critical mass in terms of parliamentary and educational will to have this done. But there is still a crazy amount of work to do.
Matteo sees it as crucially important for future generations to be clued up on how politics works.
It's the survival of democracy. There's nothing short of that. Like, if you want democracy to survive, you need to teach this stuff. Like the reason why democracy, if you look at the history of the West, like the reason why democracy has happened is because of years of history around conflict and people, or sometimes nobles, demanding more power from monarchies or authoritarian regimes, and then fighting oppressive regimes, if you look at the Second World War, to keep said democracy. But all of those memories dwindle and die. That is not sustainable. The only way to sustain democracy and keep it alive is by making sure that people understand how it works, and also, once they understand how it works, if they want to then know how to improve it.
Whilst there is still work to be done, steps are being made to ensure the younger generation is politically literate. Carlo Simone, Buzz News.